This is Shades of Content, a podcast created for and featuring women of color who create and distribute content as a means to tell stories to the masses. I'm your host, Patrice Camo, owner of CAMPspace, and I'm passionate about giving diverse women creators a space to be awesome. Let's go. Happy Friday. I hope this finds you well. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Shades of Content, the podcast that shares the stories and highlights women content creators of color. Obviously, again, so happy that you're here. This is our second episode of 2021. I was about to say 2011. 2021. And if you tuned into last week's episode or our last episode with Nikki Osei Barrett and Ernest B. James, you got a wealth of information on publicity, influencer management, branding, and just influencing while Black. So if you haven't had a chance to listen to that episode, you need to go back after you listen to this one because it is filled with major gems. If you're watching this on YouTube, you see I have a hoodie on. It's my marathon hoodie. Shout out to Nipsey, rest in peace. And I don't have on no makeup. My hair is a hot mess. Well, it just needs to be done. It's not a mess, but I have a hair appointment in 2 weeks. But I'm here because the motto, or one of the mottos for 2021 is showing up no matter what, okay? So I came into my space. You guys know Camp. If you've listened to the show, you know all about my business, CAMPspace. If you haven't, go back to some of the past episodes. I think one of the first 3 is the CAMPspace story. Listen to that and you'll learn all about this thing that I have here behind me. But like, I came here to clean up and to just shoot some content for something else. And I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and record this next episode for the podcast too. So that's why I'm here. Again, I'm not dressed. I have on my workout shoes and my Crocs, okay? But I'm here and I'm excited to make sure that I get this year started off on a good foot, and that means giving you all content that is consistent, relevant, timely, and will just help you win, right? So all I got on right now is my nails and a little lip gloss. Lips is popping and my skin ain't doing too bad. It's so now, okay. Again, very happy to be here. And one of the reasons why I want to focus on consistency is because at the end of 2020, I didn't do any episodes for like a month and a half. And that was because I really wasn't feeling inspired. But the bottom line is, like, whether you're feeling inspired or not, you have to be consistent. And if, like I said, you listen to the podcast, our last episode, Ernest said one of his clients told him, you know, consistency is what you have when inspiration is lacking. And that is something that is 100%, I pray, is going to stick with me for 2021, because aside from not being inspired sometimes I just don't have time, right? I got kids, I got a lot of things going on, a lot of the movement parts in my life. But if I'm consistent and if I'm just pushing out and creating this content when I don't feel like it, or when I do feel like it, when it's time for it to go, it's just gonna go. And so again, appreciate you guys bearing with me. I hope that my transparency about this whole process and, you know, just my willingness to keep moving even when I have a few setbacks is something that helps you do the same. So the idea, as you know, to start this podcast happened before the pandemic, but it launched literally the same week that the Maryland shutdown orders went into effect. And so it was a total coincidence, but it really helped with my business because when we had to shut everything down, no one could come into the space for two months, at least 2 months. And so because I had already launched the podcast and I was just pushing out these episodes because I ain't had nothing else to do, you know. Well, I mean, I had other things to do, but this was like the only professional thing that I could work on at the time. The space and my brand and my business was able to stay top of mind. And by me pushing out this content and us staying top of mind, I do believe that those things working together were the reasons why once the world kind of opened back up, the business was booming. Right? So being consistent and pushing out this content was super important. But the other thing that was really helpful with keeping us afloat was small business grants. Small business grants have been, I don't want to say a lifeline, because thank God we have customers. We would have been able to still pay our rent and pay our expenses once we open back up. So lifeline is probably not the right word, but small business grants were just like this invaluable resource that has allowed me to do some really cool things for my business brand, right? Because small business grants really are providing you with free money. Sometimes there are some stipulations with how you use the money, but if you're keeping things on the up and up and you are a business and you're using the money for business purposes, like the possibilities are endless. So since applying to these small grants and getting these small grants, I've been able to do some really amazing things that I wouldn't have had the budget to do before. I launched the CAMPspace Creator Series, which is a YouTube series that just highlights women content creators of color. I'm working on another amazing project that you guys will hear an ad for in this episode a little later. Been able to buy some new things for the space. So just like those things that you wanted to do, but you didn't have the money to do. Those small business grants that we got were how that happened, right? So, I've had some type of small business for the past 15 years, right? But I've never, before camp and before the pandemic, I never took the time to look out for small business grants. It's not that I didn't want to, it's just it was something that I didn't think was a thing. Now keep in mind, my previous business efforts or business ventures were all service-based, low investment. So I was a PR consultant, I've been a marketing consultant, and these were all things where I was doing all the work. I didn't have a brick and mortar. My expenses were super low, so I never really felt like I needed small business grants. But the fact is that there's always a use for free money, okay? And I'm gonna repeat that. There is always a use and a need for free money. So if you are a service-based business, or if you're a coach, or you're a consultant, or you're just a one-man show, the bottom line is if you got a business and you are using funds to make that business run, be it marketing, be it space, be it your own professional development, there's a grant for that. So I just really hope that this episode helps you kind of shift how you think about getting funds and really think creatively about, how you can make sure you're getting all the resources that are out there. Because best believe, even though we're in a pandemic, there's a ton of resources. And I'll also say this, when we're in dire times, when the nation is in its lowest of the low, that's when you have a lot of businesses, a lot of government entities, a lot of nonprofits that are putting their money where their mouth is. So it's when things get really bad, that's when things are really good for people like you and I, business owners, people who are looking for resources to help themselves grow, because these organizations are invested in our success, right? My local business chamber, they're not successful if my business isn't doing what it needs to do. So they're going to invest in giving small business grants to their businesses because they want us to succeed, because that makes them look good as well. So if you're in a similar situation, like I said, and you don't think you qualify for grants, you're wrong. And you 100% need to keep listening to this episode. My small business grant journey started on April 6, 2020. I know the exact day, about 2.5 weeks after the pandemic shutdown orders were placed in my area. And again, I'm in the DMV area. I live in Maryland. The first funding opportunity that I applied for was the Spanx Red Backpack grant. And that Spanx grant was by the Spanx owner, Sarah Blakely, and she partnered with another nonprofit, and I didn't get it. And then I applied for 5 more, and I didn't get those either. But the next big one that I put really a lot of effort into was a grant that my county had put together through their Economic Development Fund. And that application, when I tell you, it was so long and so annoying, and I even submitted it wrong, right? So I filled it out and then I submitted it, and it was absolutely wrong. And because I just was oh, I didn't put all that work in for nothing, I contacted them right away when I realized I did it wrong. And I told them my mistake, and they let me go back and resubmit it. And after a few weeks of waiting, I found out that I was a recipient. My business was a recipient of that grant. And when I tell you, it felt so good. Winning that grant made me forget about not getting any of the other grants. And it fueled me, honestly, to just keep applying for more and more and more. And that's exactly what I did. So don't go. You need to listen to this entire episode, because at the end, I'm going to tell you exactly how many grants I applied to, how many grants I didn't get, how many I got, and how much money in grant funds that I received. And I'll give you a tease, it's more than $10,000 that I've gotten over this grant process. So I put together a quick list of things that will hopefully make it easy for you to get some of all this free grant money that's out here. Trust me, like I said, it's plentiful. There are organizations that are committed and literally invested into making sure People like you and I have what we need. And listen, everything that I tell you is 100% from me. So, and there are things that work for me. So all these tips work for me. And I hope by sharing it, it works for you too, because we all got to win out here. Okay. So number one, the very first thing you need to do or make sure you have in place is opening your business account and using it for your business and grant funds. This is literally, like I said, the first thing that you honestly should do before you even start a business. So if you already have a business and you already have a business account, check, you've already taken care of number one. If you already have a business, but you don't have a business account, as soon as you leave this, listening to this episode or watching this episode, go online, find a local bank and open a business account. And if you don't have a business yet, get your LLC and then open your business account, right? Before you even do anything. So, like I said, if you didn't do that before, like if you kind of went onto your business and didn't handle that admin stuff, I want you to get it done now because you want to make sure your business is always being handled on the up and up. And listen, I'm not an accountant. I am not a financial advisor, so I cannot give you any technical advice on those matters, but I can say that both of those people, my accountants and financial advisors, have told me that having an actual business account is like the only way to do business. And it's essential because you have to keep your personal finances and your business finances separate. The business account will also be very essential to the grantors, and just, a grantor is the person or the organization that's giving you the money. They're gonna need that to get the money to you. Most times they're using wire transfers. In probably 75% of the grants that I've applied to, they've asked me for the business checking account information. And then I'll also say that a lot of the grantors have like a stipulation in the contract that you sign that the grant funds are going to be used for real business purposes. So if you somehow are going to have it put into your personal bank account, there's no way to prove that the money that they gave you, the $5,000 that they gave you, is actually going to your business and not going to your trip to Tulum. So you don't want to commingle your funds. You want to make sure you have your business bank account set up. And, if that means like taking some money that you have put aside for your business that's in your personal account just sitting, take that money, transfer it over to a business account once you get it open. It's essential. And you will have to have an official business entity set up, like an LLC, an S Corp. You will have to have that paperwork, I believe, to get your business bank account set up, but you can do all that stuff online too. So get started right away with that. Hey, thanks for listening. How awesome would it be to have a tool that helps you plan out 365 days worth of Black Girl Magic focused content? Super awesome, right? Well, no worries, because we created just that. The Black Girl Holiday Content Creator Companion is a calendar and coloring book that's filled with things that can help you plan out content that engages and empowers your audience. It includes over 450 Black woman-focused holidays, events, milestones, and more than 14 never-seen-before coloring pages to help you de-stress and decompress. It also includes quarterly writing prompts, social media goal trackers, and really countless ideas for your Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, podcasts, Pinterest, any type of content. You can figure it out using this planner. It's a must-have. So visit blackgirlholidays.com to get your copy today. A link is also in our show notes, of course. www.blackgirlholidays.com, because every day is a Black Girl holiday. Number 2. Once you have your business account set up and you're able to like bring in some type of revenue, put yourself on payroll and start paying yourself ASAP. And that might mean paying yourself $30 a week. That might mean paying yourself $3,000 a month. I don't know, but figure out some type of structure so that you can say you are paying yourself, all right? True story. I applied to that red backpack Spanx grant application again in September, and I made it to the second round. But because my business only had one person on payroll, which was myself, I didn't get it. And that's okay. That was totally out of my control. But I do know a lot of other grants that I got, you had to have at least one person on payroll, one employee. And I was that one person. And thankfully, because I had already set up payroll, or my husband set up payroll, it was already set up from before. I already had the paperwork to show it. And I'm not paying myself a ton of money at this point. I will. but not yet. But because I was regularly paying myself as an employee, I could show that to the grantors and my business met the criteria. Grantors want to know that an actual person, i.e. you, positively be impacted by the funds that they're giving out. And I'd also suggest like paying yourself via a real payroll system, because you want, like, here's the deal. We put a lot of stuff into our business and we always pay ourselves last. But I've learned this: if you pay yourself last, like, you're never going to pay yourself, and you should be paid for your expertise. So if you start a business and you hire someone else to run it, you're going to pay them to run it. So you should pay yourself if you're running your business. It's an expense that really should be factored into the cost of running your day-to-day business. So just like I have to make sure I pay the rent and the utilities for this space, in the marketing, I also have to make sure I pay myself, because like free labor ain't really smart, especially when it is at my own expense, literally and figuratively. So number 2, put yourself on payroll and like start paying yourself ASAP, and have a legit payroll system, because a lot of grantors are going to ask for that proof also. All right, number 3, and this one's going to be golden, okay? Keep track of all your grant answers, because you're going to need them over and over and over and over and over again, okay? Now, I'm a writer. I love to write. I love to articulate myself with words and written in the pen. But writing these answers was the most annoying part of this entire process for me, okay? And really, shout out to all the grantors that have like really simple applications that you can get done quickly. I appreciate you and I respect you for respecting our time, okay? But everybody's not like that. And most organizations are gonna give you, a 20 question grant application that you gotta answer all those questions, and you have to answer them fully so that they can understand how much you need this money, right? So when you're dealing in those situations, I guarantee and I recommend working smarter and saving all your application answers in a Google Doc. So I have a Google Doc in my Google Drive that just says grant applications. And, for the first 3 or 4 applications, I would copy and paste the question, and then I would just answer them. And then when it was time to fill out the actual application, I would copy and paste the answer and put it into the application. After about 3 or 4 applications, I realized that the questions were all the same. So then I could just start to copy and paste, right? So when I went to grant application number 5, I would go to that Google Doc, find the question, copy and paste it into the application. Keep doing that, because that saves you a lot of time. Of course, you might have to tweak some things here and there, right? I'm not saying blindly copy and paste answer into application. No, I'm saying that if you have a document that is a living document that won't disappear because it's on the cloud, you can use that as a guide. And like I said, a lot of times you can just kind of copy and paste, but make sure you're going through the answers, you're reviewing it to make sure you're not like listing the name of another application, or, saying something that they didn't really ask you. But, as you start applying more and more, you're going to really get some canned answers that, like I said, may need some tweaking, can be copy and pasted into new applications. In the long run, this is going to save you so much time, and it's going to save you a lot of frustration. And I'll say this, it'll also help you with grammar, because when you fill out the online applications directly, they don't have spell checked. But if you are filling out these application questions in a Google Doc, you'll have spell check. So you can see when you're making a mistake, you can go in, you can edit, you can do everything you need to do. And when the application is done, you're just copying and pasting it back. Or when the questions are done, you're copying and pasting them back into the application. No worries at all. So to repeat number 3, make sure you are, honestly, I'd say make sure you're filling out the application in another program. So use a Google document to fill out the application, period. Save that document forever and just put the answers back when you're ready for your application. That'll just make the process a lot easier. I hope I explained that good enough. If I didn't, just hit me on Instagram. Okay, number 4, okay? This is a big one too. These are all really big and important tips, but number 4, this is some meaty stuff. This is beyond surface level. This is next level, okay, mindset shift type of stuff, okay? Number 4, tell the story of how you make the world better, not how you need the money, okay? I'm gonna say that again. Tell the story of how you and your business make the world better, not the story of why you need the money, okay? Let me break that down. Because like, listen, we all need money, okay? I could be a billionaire, but give me more. You know, that's how it is. And that can make your application review process seem very arduous and monotonous to people that are reviewing your application. Your application absolutely has to stand out. So like, don't waste time telling people why you need the money. That is, unless they're specifically asking you what you're gonna use the money for, right? So if they're saying, how will these funds help you? Then of course you say it's gonna help me pay my rent, pay my electricity, whatever. But on a bigger scale, your application should be telling the story of how your business makes the world better. How does it make people happier? How will this money that you're given help your customer be smarter, be more fulfilled? How will it help them do better work? Like, that is the story of your business, and that's what's gonna make an organization want to give you money, right? Because we all need money to pay rent. We all need money to pay utilities. But you got to figure out how to really get to the meat of how this money can help your customer be better. That's what the granters want to hear. Like, they don't care about the little silly stuff because, like I said, we all need it. So I'll give you a very clear example. And of course, I'm going to use my business. COVID stopped all customers from coming into this beautiful space for 2.5 months. Thus, there was no money to pay rent. But when asked why I needed the grant money, the answer was not, I need this money to pay rent because COVID shut us down and we didn't have customers. That's not what I said. I used that opportunity and I used that question to tell the story of CAMPspace, right? How we started as a co-work studio, but then pivoted after realizing the business was actually serving a group of dope Black women who were launching all types of brands, creating compelling content, ultimately taking chances on themselves. Women who were being open and vulnerable and transparent. So, you know, when COVID happens, I was no longer able to do that and serve the women the way that we used to, the way that I feel like I was supposed to. They also, because of that, had no longer access to this beautifully designed, affordable, safe space to go and create, something that honestly doesn't exist anywhere else. So COVID shut all that down. Because of that, I was forced to think of other ways to serve my customer and be creative. And I needed the money to do that. See, you see the difference? It's a big difference in what I just said and just saying, oh, we needed to pay rent. And that's how you tell a story. And listen, I'm a PR person. I'm a communications person at heart, right? By trade, like, I'm trained to do this. So I know how to tell a story, but you do too. Like, think beyond the surface level and think about really why your business exists. Your business does not exist to do hair. Your business exists to make women feel like their most beautiful selves. Your business does not exist to get media coverage if you're a publicist. Your business exists so that small business owners their mission can be extended to the masses and so that they can reach everybody no matter where they are in the world through the news, right? That is why your business exists. So I challenge you, if you haven't thought about your business in that way, please start to do that, because that is what the grantors want to hear. They want to hear the great, feel-good, impactful stories about the work that you're doing. Last but not least, number 5, and this is the last one, and that is very simply, don't stop applying. Please keep applying, apply every day, apply once a week, whatever you can do it. And like, don't stop. Companies are literally releasing new grants all the time. So if you got to keep an eye out, but you also have to keep applying, even when you don't win the grants, even when you see everybody else being funded and not you, even when you're tired, even when you don't have anything else to say, but that won't be an issue because you have a whole Google Doc of answers that you can use. See how these things all come back together? Just keep applying. The absolute only thing that can be a failure is a try, right? So if you're not trying, then you won't get any money, okay? So I just beg of you to keep applying and keep going after this money and keep searching for it. And I'll tell you this, so me and my homegirl, she's a small business owner. We find out about grants all the time and we just tell each other. Oh girl, did you see this grant? Did you see this grant? And I do the same. Like, if I see a grant that makes sense for another business owner that I know, I'm gonna send it to them. And I do believe that because I do that, the universe is bringing that money right on back to me. So I would, suggest that you do the same. If you find out a cool grant tell it to somebody else. It can't hurt. Like, what's for you is for you, what's for them is for them. But yeah, definitely keep applying. Never stop. As long as there's free money and as long as we're in this pandemic state, there is going to be free money. So make sure you are out there. Keep your eyes open. Keep that third eye tapped in and, get to hustling. Keep doing what you do. To put it all in context, and I said that I would tell you all this at the end of the episode because I wanted you to listen. I've applied to this date, and we are January 5th or something like that. I've applied to 31 small business grants since April of 2020. Okay, that's a lot. That is a lot. Sometimes 5 a month, sometimes 1 a month, but I'm not playing out here. And I did not win 13. I won 9. So I've lost, or I've not won more than I've won, but that's okay because money is money and I didn't lose anything by applying to any of them. And I'm still waiting to hear back from 9. And my total grant, the total amount of grant money that I've received from my business thus far is about $21,000. And I am elated because that's $21,000 I didn't have to really work for. All I had to do was fill out some applications and, show that my business is dope, because my business is dope. And, a grant application is going to give you the opportunity to boast on your business and brag on yourself. And that's what I was able to do. And I guess I did it good enough to be selected for the 9 that I've won thus far. Like I said, I'm still waiting to hear back from 9. So we'll see. Hopefully there'll be more money coming in. And I kind of joke around about it saying, that's money I didn't have to work for. But the bottom line is that's money that I can now use to pour back into my business, to pour back into my customers. You'll see there is some really cool things that I'm excited to launch. And I just want to continue to elevate my business. And elevation costs money, bottom line. And so, I've been able to invest in a business coach. I've been able to buy, certain books. And all of this stuff works for the good of the business, and it works for the good of my customer because it's helping me be better, my business be better, so that we can be better for you. So, it's more than just getting money. Like this thing, like I said, next level mindset, mind shift change. And, I really hope that you all do what you got to do, right? Because you have absolutely nothing to lose. Applying to grants, especially during the current state of the country, is one of the best things that you can do for your business. If you've been dragging your feet on applying to grants, or if you aren't sure how to go about getting the process going, don't worry. Head over to our website, campworkspace.com/grants. Again, campworkspace, and it's right here, campworkspace.com/grants. And I've compiled a list of the grants that I've applied to and more grants that are still accepting applications. So go to the site right now because that'll hopefully help you kind of get on the good foot and get to applying for this money. Let me know how the grant game is working out for you. I actually just found out that CAMPspace was the recipient of Facebook's small business grant for Black-owned businesses. And I applied to that one before too, and I didn't get it the first time, but I applied again and I got it the second time. And so that's great. So I just posted it on my Instagram page. Hit me in the comments on Instagram. My name is @Patrice Camo, just my first name, my last name, and let me know about your grant process. I'm so happy that you guys are here for the second episode of 2021. You've sat through. If you're watching it on YouTube, you see me looking crazy, but I don't care because like I said, we're going to show up in 2021. We're going to go after every single thing that is ours. Okay, sis? Go after what's for you because God has so much for you. And don't ever doubt that. Don't ever question it. But don't ever doubt or question yourself because you're amazing as hell. You're bomb. You're creative. You are smart. You are giving. You are love. You are all of those things. And now it's time to step into it. So thank you for listening. It's been great. I'll see you in 2 weeks and have a great one.
Shades of Content is brought to you by and recorded at CAMPspace, a content creator studio for women of color. To learn more, visit www.campworkspace.com.